Elena Davis, 32 years old, lives in a small apartment on the 6th floor in downtown Boston. People often look at her profile and admire her: a prestigious MBA degree, senior manager at a financial company, stable income. But in reality, Elena only sees a ticking clock. Every day feels the same. In the morning, she gets out of bed like a machine. Black coffee, a 15-minute jog, passing by dozens of faces without any leaving an impression. At the office, she puts on headphones, focuses on the screen. When colleagues laugh and joke, she only forces a faint smile. At lunch, a cold salad box. In the evening, she goes home, turns on the TV just to hear the sound, not to watch. Her phone is always by her side, but no one calls. Her social media is like a white wall, scrolling but not interacting. Old friends are distant, her family long broken, and love, if it exists, is only like faint fragments of memory. She thinks, "I'm good at work, but I'm not good at living." Across from Elena's apartment, through the large glass window, she often sees an older man, around 60. His hair is thin and silver, his face worn but his eyes gentle. Every evening, he sits at a wooden table, under a warm yellow lamp, reading a book, sometimes writing something in an old notebook. Mr. Green, that's the name Elena once overheard from the doorman. A retired teacher, living alone. Occasionally, when he catches sight of Elena, he raises his hand to greet her. Elena always looks away, but on some nights after a long day, she sees him still sitting there, his eyes seeming to want to say something. She doesn't greet him back. She thinks, he's probably lonely too, but what does that have to do with me? One Monday morning, as Elena hurried to work, she stopped in front of the notice board. In memory of Thomas Green, 1958 to 2024. It was the neighbor across the way. He had died of a heart attack alone. No wife, no children. That day, Elena couldn't concentrate. She opened the curtains many times, looking across at the apartment, now completely dark. For the first time, she felt the emptiness so vividly. Mr. Green, a stranger, but somehow a part of her daily rhythm, was now gone. If one day I disappear, who would even notice? The question echoed in her mind, bringing with it a cold and unfamiliar feeling. Before she could even recover, the following evening, Elena received a phone call. Her father, long estranged, the one who had left when she was a child, called to tell her that her mother had passed away from heart disease. "Elena, I know you're busy, but your mother wanted to hear your voice one last time." His voice trembled. Elena stood still, her hand gripping the phone tightly. No tears came, only a larger emptiness inside her. She took exactly 2 days off, flew back to the old town, attended the funeral, saw her father, aged and frail yet distant. No imbras, no blam. She handled the paperwork, then quietly returned to Boston. On the third day, she was once again in front of a screen, answering emails, even achieving the top performance of the month. Colleagues praised her. "Elena, you're so resilient." But no one knew that behind that calm face was a soul like a frozen lake. Time passed and winter came. The company announced Elena would be training a new intern. Her first reaction, refusal. She hated being interrupted, but the leadership insisted, "You're the most suitable person." A few days later, a young woman walked into the office. Mia Thompson, 23 years old, just graduated, her eyes bright with energy. She was cheerful, asked about everything, laughed often. When she met Elena, she said enthusiastically, "I'm really looking forward to learning from you." Elena nodded coldly. But then, day by day, Mia's differences became clear. She was curious, eager, sometimes clumsy, but sincere. Elena was annoyed, but at the same time, something small inside her began to stir. One afternoon, Mia boldly asked, "Have you eaten yet? Let me take you out for lunch." Elena was about to refuse, but then she nodded. They walked across the square. Mia talked about her family, her dreams, the worries of a young person just starting out. She admitted, "I'm afraid that one day I'll become as cold as the adults in this company. I want to be different." Elena looked into those eyes and saw herself years ago, once eager, once believing in an open future. That day, Elena went home, opened her laptop, but didn't start working right away. She took an old photo of her mother and placed it on the desk. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to remember. In the days that followed, Elena began to change. Not suddenly, but little by little. She stopped wearing headphones when arriving at the office, smiled at colleagues, sent thank you emails. In the evenings, she called her father, the conversations awkward but sincere. He cried when he heard her say, "I want to see you this weekend." She also started paying attention to herself, practicing yoga, buying a potted plant to place by the window. Each morning, when she opened the curtains, she looked across at Mr. Green's old apartment. Now a young family had moved in. Elena smiled and, for the first time, raised her hand to wave. One day, during a meeting, Elena's boss said, "Elena, the results of training Mia have been excellent." She said you didn't just teach her the job, but also helped her believe in herself more. Elena only smiled softly, but inside, she knew. It all started with a neighbor she had never spoken to, from a quiet death that reminded her that life only has value when we connect. This story doesn't end with some grand miracle. Elena didn't suddenly become an extrovert, and not every wound was healed. But now, she knows how to open a door and let someone in. And sometimes a simple greeting, a cup of coffee, a phone call to a loved one. These are the things that keep the heart warm in a cold city. Message: loneliness is a choice, but connection is a human need. Small losses remind us of the value of the present. Kindness and listening can save a soul, even your own.